If you're going to get jealous every time I go out, then just leave, she said before heading off on her girls' trip to Vegas, a trip that also included 2 guys from her gym. I told her to enjoy the trip and let it go. While she was in Vegas, I packed up everything. I left a short note, took your advice. When she came home, she called me crying. By then, I was already on a date. Hey viewers, before we continue, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want more stories like this. Thanks. The suitcase lay open on our bed, like a dark pit pulling in lace and satin. I stood in the doorway watching as Chloe folded a sheer black top I had never seen before. The room carried the scent of her perfume, heavy with the feeling of departure. "You're sure it's just Jessica and Lauren?" I asked. My tone was steady. It wasn't an accusation, just a final check. She didn't look up. For the 10th time, yes. It's a girls' trip. Vegas. You know the plan. I do. I also know Mark and Jake from your gym are flying out tomorrow for their own weekend. Same hotel. Interesting timing. Her hands paused briefly before continuing, now more forcefully. Vegas is a big city, Alex. We're adults. If we see them, we might say hi. Seeing them seems pretty likely, I said evenly, especially after the group chat you forgot to close on your iPad. I kept my voice neutral. The one where Jake said, "Can't wait to see you, Chloe," and Mark sent the champagne emoji. She turned to me, her expression a mix of irritation and offense. "You went through my iPad. You left it on the couch." The notification popped up. I didn't go digging. I leaned against the doorframe and crossed my arms. It just feels off. A girls' trip where your closest gym friends are there alone, without their girlfriends. The situation looks bad. It feels disrespectful. She let out a long, tired sigh and rolled her eyes as if asking for patience. When she looked back at me, her expression was dismissive. "This is exactly the problem," she said. "You're suffocating me, Alex. You hear about male friends and assume the worst. You don't trust me." "This isn't about trust," I replied. "It's about respect and how things look. Optics." She laughed without humor. "Are you my boyfriend or my publicist? I'm not living my life around your optics." She mimicked the word with her fingers and tossed the sheer top into the suitcase. "I need space. I want to have fun without a voice in my head policing me." Then she said it calmly, without anger. "If you're going to be jealous every time I go out and enjoy myself, just leave." The words hung there. They weren't shouted or said in the heat of the moment. They were delivered cleanly, like a final option. Not "let's talk" or "you overreacting." Just leave. Something inside me didn't shatter. It went quiet. A steady, ringing calm settled in. She mistook my silence for submission. A small, confident smile crossed her face as she zipped the suitcase shut. "We need this space," she said, her voice soft and reassuring in a way that felt patronizing. "Maybe while I'm gone, you'll think things through and realize how insecure you're being. I'll text you when I land. Try not to stress." She rolled the suitcase past me, the wheels brushing my foot. She didn't notice. In the living room, she checked her reflection in the mirror, adjusting her hair. Mentally, she was already in Vegas. Winning the argument gave her a glow. I walked her to the door. She turned, expecting resistance or pleading, something she could dismiss. Instead, she saw my face, and her confidence flickered for a moment. There was no anger, no sadness, nothing familiar. "Okay," I said flatly. "Enjoy your trip." The neutrality caught her off guard. "I will," she replied, forcing a cheerful tone. "Bye, Alex." The door closed. The silence afterward felt different. It wasn't empty. It was clear. I watched from the window as she loaded her suitcase into the rideshare. She didn't look back at the apartment once. As the car pulled away, an old memory surfaced. 2 years earlier, on our first anniversary, we were both struggling at entry-level jobs. She had been admiring a vintage acoustic guitar in a pawn shop window for months, talking about it like it meant something deeper. I secretly saved for it, skipping meals, picking up extra work. The case was worn, but the sound was warm. When I gave it to her, she cried and hugged both the guitar and me. "You're the only one who really sees me," she whispered. I sold my own electric guitar from high school to help cover the cost. It was just an object. Her happiness mattered more. Watching her play that first chord had felt worth it. I was building a future one sacrifice at a time. Now that guitar sat in the corner of the bedroom, reminder of someone I no longer was, given to someone she never truly had been. The apartment felt foreign, like a display of a life that didn't work. Her words echoed again, "Just leave." This time, they weren't a threat. They were instructions. The silence after the door shut was heavy, like a verdict. I poured a glass of water and drank slowly, my mind unusually calm. The pain and anger I expected never came. Instead, everything felt sharp and clear. I checked Instagram. Her story was already there. At the airport bar, glasses raised. Vegas baby. No bad vibes allowed. I was the bad vibe. I swiped again. Mark and Jake were right there, leaning into frame. They weren't running into each other. They were together. Laughing. Public. Obvious. I felt no jealousy. Just confirmation. I closed the app. I didn't block her yet. Proof had value. The plan didn't come from revenge. It came from logic. I started packing. I worked carefully, without rushing. I took my clothes, my books, my personal items. I unplugged the TV I bought, packed the console, the router, the modem. I left the spare key on the counter. On a single sheet of paper, I wrote 2 words, "Took your advice." No explanation. No emotion. An hour later, a moving truck arrived. I loaded the boxes into storage and walked away, calm and finished. I paid 3 months of rent in advance. Then I drove to the only place that felt right, my older brother's apartment across town. He opened the door, took one look at my face and the duffel bag in my hand, and stepped aside without asking questions. "The couch is yours," he said, giving my shoulder a firm pat. He didn't press for details. He handed me a beer and let it be. Sitting there, the weight of the day finally settled in. I wasn't sad. I felt free. The pressure that had been pulling at me for months was gone. I picked up my phone one last time and opened her Instagram. The newest story was a shaky, strobe-lit club video. Champagne bottles, raised arms. Chloe wedged between Mark and Jake, her head tilted back. The caption read, "Living my best life." I gave a thin, humorless smile. I took a screenshot, then blocked her, Instagram, Facebook, everything. After that, I went into my phone settings and blocked her number. I didn't delete it. Blocking felt more final. It meant I expected the calls and was refusing them in advance. I set the phone down on the coffee table. For me, it was finished. The move was complete. The disappearance was real. She was in Vegas enjoying herself, and I was gone. The next 3 days passed in a calm, unfamiliar quiet. I slept deeply on my brother's couch, the kind of sleep that comes after emotional exhaustion. I called my job. I worked remotely as a software developer and told them I had a family emergency and would be offline for the rest of the week. My boss, practical as ever, said, "Take care of it. Check in Monday." I stayed off social media. I didn't wonder what she was doing. The mental channel that had always been tuned to Chloe was silent now. I went on long runs. I ate sandwiches with my brother and watched bad action movies. I felt like someone recovering from a long illness, weak, but clear-headed, grateful for the absence of pain. Her return flight was scheduled for Sunday evening. I thought about it vaguely, like imagining the weather in a city I'd never visit. The landing, the walk through the airport, the rideshare line. At 8:17 p.m., my phone buzzed on the coffee table. Then it buzzed again. And again. My brother glanced over from the TV. "You gonna answer that?" "No," I said, staying still. The buzzing stopped. A minute later, it started again, longer this time. A call. It went to voicemail. 30 seconds passed. Another call followed. I sighed and picked up the phone. The screen read unknown caller. A calm certainty settled in. I answered and put it on speaker, setting the phone back down. I muted my mic. "Alex? Alex, you there?" Her voice was sharp, edged with panic and irritation. It wasn't the voice of someone missing me. It was the voice of someone who'd opened a drawer and found it empty. "Pick up. This isn't funny. The power's out." "Why is the power out? And the internet is gone. Where is all my stuff? My TV? You can't just do this." There was a pause. I could hear her breathing, uneven. Then the voicemail beeped and the call ended. My brother raised an eyebrow. Things just got interesting. I shook my head. The phone buzzed again. A text from another unknown number. "Alex, it's me. What is going on? I came home to a dark apartment and half my things are gone. This is insane. You need to call me. We have to talk like adults." I deleted it. 5 minutes later, another message arrived. "Alex, I'm worried about you. This is extreme. Are you having some kind of breakdown? Where are you staying? We can fix this. Just call me." The shift was obvious. Anger had turned into concern, or at least something resembling it. I pictured her standing in the dark apartment, slowly realizing what the empty space meant. The TV gone. The router missing. The everyday comforts I'd provided, now absent. I went to bed. In the morning, there were 3 missed calls from unknown numbers and a string of new texts. "Alex, please. I'm sitting on the floor and I'm scared. Just call me back. I made a mistake. The trip was a mistake. It wasn't what you think. Mark and Jake are just friends. We were all together. I'm sorry I told you to leave. I was stressed. You know how I get. I didn't mean it. Please, baby. Just talk to me." The word, baby, felt outdated, like something from a language I no longer spoke. It meant nothing. The last message came from a number I recognized. Her sister, Mia. "Alex, what is wrong with you? Chloe is devastated. She came home to a nightmare. You can't just abandon someone like this. She needed space, and you went completely off the rails. Fix this. Call her." I stared at the screen. The guilt messenger had arrived. The story was already being told, Chloe as the victim, me as the unstable ex who disappeared. I didn't respond. I blocked the number. What followed wasn't dramatic justice. It was quiet cause and effect. She wasn't being punished. She was experiencing the direct result of her choices. She told her partner to leave, and he did. She showcased her freedom, and came home to it fully realized. The real unraveling wasn't in the messages. It was in the silence she now had to live with. The empty side of the bed. No familiar sounds. No borrowed items. No shared routines. She had confused the structure of our life together for the background of her own life. And I had calmly removed that structure. I showered, got dressed, and focused on what came next. I opened a dating app one hadn't touched in 3 years. I updated my profile with a recent photo my brother took during one of our runs. I wasn't searching for anything serious. I wanted a distraction. Proof that moving forward was possible. After some casual swiping, I matched with a woman named Sarah. She was a graphic designer who liked hiking and bad sci-fi movies. The conversation was easy. No tension, no history. I asked, "This is last minute, but would you like to grab a drink tonight? I could use a break from my own thoughts. She replied, honestly, same. 8 o'clock at the Alchemist. The patio's great. I agreed. 48 hours earlier, my life revolved around Chloe. Now I was making plans with someone new, and all I felt was mild curiosity. As I got ready, my phone buzzed again. Another voicemail. I played it while buttoning my shirt. Her voice was tearful, more polished now. I'm so sorry. I was stupid. I came home and you were gone. I can't eat or sleep. Please come back. We can fix this. I love you. The words landed without weight. I deleted the message. I checked my reflection. My eyes were clear. No anger. No grief. Just focus. At 7:55 p.m., I walked into the warm buzz of the Alchemist. Sarah was waiting at a corner table under soft lights. She smiled. We started talking, and it flowed easily. My phone buzzed on the table. Unknown caller. I silenced it and turned it face down. Sorry about that, I said. Where were we? She laughed. You were about to defend why the sequel is better than the original. We kept talking. The phone vibrated once more. I didn't look. I didn't react. I was already gone. The date was refreshingly normal. No tension. No tests. Just conversation. When I walked her to her car and we shared a brief, hopeful goodnight kiss, I felt something simple and rare, anticipation. Later, back at my brother's place, I finally checked my phone. The screen showed a flood of attempts from various unknown numbers. You're ignoring me. How can you be so cold? I'm not eating. The apartment is so empty. I keep thinking I hear you. I set the phone down. The silence didn't feel cruel. It felt earned. You're punishing me, and it's not fair. Unknown. 10:47 p.m. I called the power company. They told me the account in your name was cancelled. I had to pay a $150 reconnect ION fee, plus the internet. Seriously? That's so petty. Unknown. 11:22 p.m. Jessica says she saw you on HeartLink. You on dating apps? Are you kidding me? We're still together. You can't do this. Unknown. 11:59 p.m. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I checked. Please just talk to me. I'll hang up if you answer even once. Just tell me what you want me to do. Voicemail, transcribed from 12:17 a.m. Her voice was slurred, heavy with self-pity. Hey, it's me again. I'm sitting here in the dark. I plugged in a lamp. It's so quiet. I never realized how much noise you made, typing, cooking, just being here. There was a wet sniffle. I miss it. I miss you. The trip meant nothing. Mark is an idiot. Jake tried to kiss me, and I pushed him away. I swear. I told him I had a boyfriend. I said I had you. I was stupid. I wanted to feel young, and you were just steady and safe, and I took that for granted. I really did. Please call me back. I'm begging you. The progression was almost textbook: anger, bargaining, victimhood, and finally a carefully shaped confession meant to trigger forgiveness. The part about Jake was new, a last-minute addition. True or not, it didn't matter. It was leverage. I didn't reply. I plugged my phone into charge and went to sleep. Her breakdown wasn't my responsibility. By morning, the approach had shifted again, sharper and more calculated. Text from a new number. Mia. Alex, it's Mia. Chloe is staying with me. She's a mess. Whatever point you were making, you've made it. You've ignored her long enough. Now be a decent person and meet her to talk. She deserves closure. I stared at the message. The irony of demanding closure after she'd told me to leave was almost laughable. I typed one sentence. The only response I sent to any of them. She has all the closure she gave me. This is over. I sent it and blocked the number. The reaction came fast. A new message, raw and furious. The mask was gone. Unknown. Likely Chloe. Fine. You want to be heartless? Fine. You were never enough anyway. You think I wanted a boring, predictable life with you? Mark drives a BMW. Jake owns his condo. What do you have? A storage unit and your brother's couch. You did me a favor by leaving. You're a coward who couldn't even fight for me. I read it, a faint, cold smile forming. There it was. The real metric. Cars, property, status. This was the foundation beneath all the accusations. I took a screenshot, not out of spite, but as documentation, the same way someone saves proof to understand the structure underneath a collapse. Then the messages stopped. The silence that followed said more than the insults ever could. She had played her final card and gotten nothing back. I spent the day applying for apartments. Practical steps toward a new future were the best counter to emotional chaos. That evening, while my brother and I were making a grocery list, my phone rang. It was my mother. "Hi, sweetheart," she said carefully. "I got a strange call today from a very upset young woman named Chloe." I closed my eyes. She had called my mother. That crossed a line. "What did she say?" I asked. She was crying. "Said you abandoned her, took things, left her in a financial mess. She claimed you were having some kind of crisis and that the family needed to step in." She sounded desperate, and not entirely honest. "What's happening?" I felt a protective anger rise, not for myself, but for my mother being pulled in. She told me to leave if I had an issue with her going to Vegas with 2 other men. I did have an issue. So I left. That's it. She's dealing with the result of her own words and decisions. Please block her number. My mother was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Well, that settles it. Your father's making his pot roast this weekend. Bring a friend if you want." The meaning was clear. They trusted me. That was enough. The final attempt came Friday night. A call from a familiar area code. I answered but stayed silent. "Alex," she said. Her voice was small now, stripped of drama. "I got your note. Took your advice." She exhaled shakily. "That's really it, isn't it?" "Yes," I replied calmly. It was the first time I'd spoken to her since. After 3 years, that was enough. "I'm losing the apartment," she whispered. "I can't afford the lease alone. My credit won't qualify. I have 2 weeks." I said nothing. "Aren't you going to say anything?" she asked. "Aren't you sorry?" "Even a little?" That was the question she needed answered. The demand for shared guilt. "No," I said, simply. There was a sound on the line, not quite a sob. More like something closing. "Who are you?" she asked, genuinely shaken. "The person who followed your advice," I said. "Goodbye, Chloe." I ended the call. I didn't block the number. She wouldn't call again. 2 weeks later, Sarah and I were at Sunday brunch. We'd been out 3 times. It was easy. Comfortable. I'd signed a lease on a bright 1-bedroom near the park, moving in the next week. My life felt open, unfinished in a good way. We were at the Green Fig, known for its waffles and long waits. We'd lucked into a patio table. Sarah was mid-story about a disastrous client meeting, using her fork for emphasis, when I felt the shift. A shadow crossed the table. I looked up. Chloe stood there. She looked smaller somehow. Not disheveled, just worn down. Hair pulled back, old jeans, a hoodie. Her eyes were red, fixed on me with a mix of anger and desperation. She ignored Sarah completely. "Alex," she said flatly. I nodded. Chloe. I turned to Sarah. Sarah, this is Chloe. Chloe, Sarah. The normal introduction hit harder than any insult. Chloe flinched. Her eyes moved to Sarah's relaxed smile, her hand resting near mine, the shared mimosa between us. We need to talk, Chloe said sharply. We've already said everything that needs to be said, I replied evenly, lifting my coffee. You left me with nothing, she hissed, her voice rising. Nearby tables started to notice. You disappeared. You stole from me. You ruined my life. I have to move back in with my mom. Sarah shifted slightly. I gave her a small apologetic look and turned back to Chloe. You told me to leave if I had a problem, I said clearly. I did. I took what was mine and left what was yours. The lease was shared. You not being able to afford it isn't punishment. It's reality. I paused. You got exactly what you asked for. You just didn't like the outcome. Her face tightened, tears forming from frustration. You were supposed to fight for me, she said. When I said leave, you were supposed to beg. That's what love is. There it was. The script I refused to follow. I did love someone, I said calmly. But the person I loved, the one who talked about building a future, that wasn't who you turned out to be. The real you told me to leave. I listened. She stared at me, searching for a reaction, for pain, for regret. There was none. Just quiet certainty. Her shoulders sagged. The scene no longer favored her. So that's it, she said softly. That's it, I confirmed. I picked up the menu and turned back to Sarah. Sorry about that. As I was saying, the salted caramel waffle is amazing, but it's a commitment. The berries might be smarter. Sarah smiled. Berries are usually smarter. But since when are we smart? Let's get the caramel. I laughed, genuinely. We ordered. Chloe stood there another moment, then turned and walked away. I didn't watch her go. I didn't explain anything. Sarah didn't ask. She squeezed my hand once, easy and natural. The waffle was as good as advertised. We split the bill, debated a movie, and stepped out into the afternoon sun. As I held the door for Sarah, I caught our reflection in the glass, just the two of us moving forward. No ghosts. No echoes. Just the present, and a future that was finally mine. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Let us know your thoughts on this story in the comments.